Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 8 a.m. You are listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. It's Friday, the 14th of July. Just last night, me and a couple friends were talking about, man, it's going to be planning a September event. It's going to be September. Oh, it's coming up, right? Didn't it feel like just February not that long ago, you guys? Well, it's Friday. You can think about it over the weekend. We have a great show for you guys this morning. Township Knowledge continues with great guests today, Jason Owens and Davis Offutt. How you guys doing?
Fine. Thank you for having us.
All right. Not a problem. Before the mics and everything came on, we were talking about traveling and all kinds of cool stuff. So this is going to be a great conversation today as we learn about their positions on Township. Aurora Township Highway Commissioner is Mr. Owens, and Aurora Township Assessor is Mr. Offutt. Good morning to all of you people tuning in right now. I have the weather for you. Let's start off with that. Today, it's going to be humid and a high of 90 degrees out there today. Tonight, 70 degrees will be the nighttime high. There's a severe weather threat as well this evening. Heavy rainfall, mainly southeast of I-57. And then tomorrow, scattered storms all day long. And then 68 degrees nighttime high tomorrow. 85 degrees will be tomorrow's high. Oh, my goodness gracious. So get ready for the humidity. It's going to get really hot and muggy out there, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So we were talking before the mic came on that township, the city of Aurora is in Aurora Township. There's many people who are unfamiliar with Township. Hey, where am I? Am I in Township? And the precise boundaries of Township. But since Aurora is in 4 counties, we are in Aurora Township. That's correct, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Offutt, how long have you been Aurora Township Assessor?
Well, I took the office in 94, but actually I've been around since after the service in 1971. I went on as an appraiser. But actually in high school, I actually measured houses for the township. So I'm at 51 years, not counting the times before that. So.
Okay. All right. Started off appraising houses.
Yes.
Very interesting. Mr. Owens, Aurora Township Highway Commissioner. How long have you been Commissioner, sir?
Just under 2 years. I took over for the elected Highway Commissioner about 6 months into his second term. Mm-hmm. He had to retire for family reasons.
Okay.
But I've been at the Highway Department since 2010.
Oh, wow.
So 13 years.
Okay. What is it that people don't know about Aurora Township? What's the most common misconception about Township? In the 3 interviews we've done so far, I've learned a couple of interesting things.
Well, I can start off by telling you that the township is part of what the national government survey system started after the original 13 colonies. So the township is 6 miles square, and it goes just from the original colonies all the way out west. And so what it is they're called sections. And the reason it started that way is each township being 1 mile square sections and then up to 6. People wonder why the township has section 1 up in the right-hand corner and it goes over to 6, drops down. Because originally these were surveyors with horse and buggy type stuff. And so what they did was they do 6 miles one direction, drop down a mile in a serpentine fashion. What people don't realize is if you're in our case, and Jason ours, we have most of Aurora geographically, and then some of Montgomery on their north area, and then some of North Aurora on their south area. And in our case, Orchard Road seems to be the dividing line between Aurora Township and Sugar Grove. And on the south, pretty much it's the bypass 30. And on the north, it's about 2 blocks north of Oak Street. And to the county line with DuPage on the east.
Interesting. So the lines that we have of township, and you said that was
Geographical.
Geographical. Oh, interesting. So during horse and buggy days, that had to be quite interesting to be mapping that.
Oh,
then
yeah.
that's historical. That's interesting. Interesting to know. Is there any kind of material that maybe the Historical Society has or the township has that talks about those early, kind of days doing that?
We don't have it in-house, but it can be researched. But bottom line is geographical doesn't, sometimes people don't understand it. Like the city of Aurora, I live over on the west side by Elmwood and Prairie, and people say, well, I'm not in the township, I'm in the city of Aurora. So, but the township has different functions. And I won't speak to the highway commissioner, but in the assessment area, we assess all that property that's in those geographical lines. And whether you're in the city limits or part of Montgomery or part of North Aurora, that's our function.
Interesting. All right. Mr. Owens, what's the job of a highway commissioner?
Job of the highway commissioner. Well, the highway department is responsible for the maintenance of streets in its jurisdiction, the drainage alongside the streets. We do snow plowing, that type of thing. So I guess my job as the highway commissioner would be to make sure that those items get taken care of as the best to our abilities. So
right.
That's probably in a nutshell what it is. We have a crew of 5 Teamsters. Mm-hmm. I have an admin that helps me as well. During the summer, we have a summer crew that helps do things so that trimming trees along the right-of-way,
right.
Edge of the road, essentially, to keep sightlines clear. But that's pretty much. We have a relatively small group.
Okay. So when it comes to being assessor and then highway commissioner and the departments, what's the overlap with the city of Aurora and their services? What's determined what who's or which body is handling whatever the job may be?
Well, by and large, to jump in ahead of Davis, sure. But by and large, as Davis was saying, if you think of levels of government as layers on dirt,
mm-hmm.
You have the earth, and then you have the United States, then you have the state, and then the county, and then the township would be that next layer, and then on top of that, you would have the borders of the city of Aurora.
Okay.
For a lot of everybody that is listening to this. And then what we would call the unincorporated areas, those areas of the township that are not within the boundaries of the city of Aurora, the village of Montgomery, the village of North Aurora. Those are typically what, like, my jurisdiction would be, the roads that are in the unincorporated areas.
Okay.
And I frankly, that is the number one question that we have is, am I in? Almost everybody is in. That's not the important question. The important question is, am I in your jurisdiction?
Your jurisdiction.
So, and that thankfully, the Kane County has GIS maps that we're able to look at. City of Aurora has access to those as well. And a lot of it is, okay, whatever your problem is, what's your address? I'm sorry, you're here, or yes, we can help you. I mean, that's basically the determining factor, is if you're in unincorporated areas or if you're not.
Okay, interesting. That's the determining factor, if you're in an incorporated area or if you are not.
Basically.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you have had questions about Township. I hope that we are answering those for you today. We're going to dig in and learn what we can about the Aurora Township. Our guests today, once again, are Jason Owens, Aurora Township Highway Commissioner, and then Mr. Davis Offutt, Aurora Township Assessor. Juan Cayetano, good morning. Sean Franklin, good morning. Good morning to all of you great people. And Aisha Saxon, so good to see you. So, does the highway department and assessor, do you guys host events, anything of the sort?
Well, let me address that. The township board is a total of 8 members in the township.
Okay.
Highway commissioner, assessor, clerk, supervisor, and 4 trustees. And the trustees do have certain events. They've asked me to speak at some
Okay.
in the assessment field, but we don't have picnics per se, but we have senior services, which
Okay.
can be spoken to by some of the trustees. And in my case, pretty much it's just the assessment of property.
Okay. When you were appraising, when you were an appraiser, what was your everyday role? What was that like, and what was the appraising like at that time?
Well, before licensing is when I started, and after the service, and you have to, at that time, you went by the quality of the product you put out by appraising property, and it used to be for banks, for estates, for marriage situations, that kind of thing. So, but the difference in appraising, as a fee work appraiser and the township does mass appraisal. This is where people don't quite relate to it. Because if you're looking at your house and the assessment is such that you say, well, my house isn't worth that, you have to realize that we don't do 39,344 appraisals. We do neighborhoods. And what we do is find the median value in that neighborhood.
The neighborhood, okay.
Yeah, and so we're appraising a neighborhood, and then we find sales. And if you know per square foot what homes are selling for that have sold, then you can assume a house that's just like it should be assessed fairly at the median level. So what that kind of means, and to put it in perspective, is that you have 3 homes, and the middle home is in average condition. That's what we use as a guide. All 3 of them could be the same, and one of them they got gold doorknobs and everything, but it's the same house.
Right.
And on the other side, people maybe don't keep it up as well. So you're not punishing the person that kept it up clean and supreme, and you don't give a break to someone that doesn't keep theirs up because you're affecting the whole neighborhood, but it's the average home. So we go into a neighborhood to find median assessment and the one that indicates a fair value for other homes that haven't sold, so we use that as a guide. And remember, but as individuals, you're going to say, I don't care how you do it. My house isn't worth that, or it's worth more. Now, I don't seldom get that question.
I would imagine not.
But the bottom line is, then as an individual, you can contact our office, and we will take a look at it. There may be a reason. Sometimes people build a garage and they get a permit. Someone takes a garage down without a permit. So they look online and they look at what we have there in their home, and they say, hey, I don't have that anymore. Well, it turns out that someone, maybe before them, took it down. And
Right.
we'll send our field team out there. We have 2 field team members that are out every morning out in the area to either upgrade pictures or to, if someone calls and says, I don't think my home's that big, we'll go out and remeasure it and take a look at it and maybe revalue it.
If there is pushback from the folks, like you mentioned, are you the person who deals
Oh,
with
yes.
the people? With the people?
We
Okay.
have one phone number at the office, and it's people ask, well, what's your private line? Well, I don't have it. I got a cell phone, but it's 630-896-7792, and we have a staff of I have a staff of about 8 people, and we have clerical, and we have the 2 field teams. And I have a chief deputy, Delia Gomez, who kind of fields all those phone calls. Pretty much, because we have so many properties, I kind of lean towards commercial industrial. But the actuality, over the years, I take the phone calls. I mean, you can walk in our office, you can call us, you can go online. We do that, and that's a good thing about township government. It's close to everybody, and it's responsive. I mean, I'm sure Jason can speak to it too, but you hear people say, well, we got too much levels of government. Well, wouldn't you want the level that you can just pick up the phone,
Right.
and you can call Chasey, you can call Davis, you can call, Bill Ketchin, you can call trustees. That's why township exists. Plus, they have a different function when it comes to general assistance.
Yeah, people are always talking about government should be more easy to reach. Government should be not so far away from the folks, so that helps. Where's your office located?
We're at 80 North Broadway, and that's the township building. It's right across the street from Fire Station Number 1, and it's right at the end of Spring Street.
That's
So
right where
dead
Bottoms
ends
are.
in
Right there,
Broadway, yes, and kitty corner from the Holiday Inn Express.
And Jake's Bagel if you're hungry too.
Right, that's right across the parking lot that won't exist in the future because they have plans for a big apartment building there.
That's right. Now I'm glad you brought that up because that's going to be the DAC development, and as an assessor, you presumably were involved in assessing said property, right?
Well, I will be involved. After
okay.
it's constructed, and the process. Just so that you know, if you're going to develop an apartment complex or whatever you're going to develop, that happens to be in the city limits. You go to the city. They have the police power for checking, whether the permits that they're going to give, the building costs, and the construction fits with the zoning in the city. That's a different world. But after it's built, it has some sort of value, and that's what we determine.
All right. The time is 8:15 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you wonderful folks. Michael Rayford is here. Good morning. And Luz Elena Brambila Guerrero. Hey, how are you guys? Good morning. We're doing well. We're doing very well, as you can see. We're doing well in here in the studio. All right. So, Jason, where is your office located?
220 Butterfield Road,
220
North Aurora.
Okay. How did you begin your ascent to highway commissioner?
Well, how far back do you want to go? No, I'm kidding.
All the way.
Yeah, right. I was born in Winthrop Harbor, Illinois, as a small child.
Winthrop Harbor. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I went to school to be to work in government. I have a public administration degree. So this is actually what I don't want to say this is what I was meant to do, because that maybe I meant to be other things, but at least in terms of education, this is how I was supposed to, graduated about when you started assessing. So, I knew a couple of commissioners ago, and was looking for a job in government, and he thankfully he hired me, and I've outlasted a few. So, and that basically is here I am. I've been doing a lot of administrative work in the highway department, cleaning up paperwork, because it's basically what we're doing is maintenance. So there's not been a lot of street maintenance, road work. So there's not been a lot. I've been just updating processes since 2010.
Okay.
So, and it just I gotta get more responsibility, and then when Juan Reyna had to retire due to the family issues, I was grateful and lucky enough that the board saw fit to appoint me to fill out his term.
Congratulations, man! Congratulations. Now, so you gentlemen are both in elected positions.
Yes.
Okay. When are the elections, and how long are your positions for?
Well, the next election is I think April of 2025.
Okay.
And it is a Republican Democrat type thing. The interesting thing, I've been around so long that it seems like after the election, all that label goes off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will tell you, this board that we're working with now and I've seen them since the late 60s and the 70s. This is one of the finest township boards that I've ever seen.
You mentioned the labels, and it's interesting. Once the election happened, the labels go away, and dare I say, they stay away until the time comes. And I think that's what helps make the whole thing work good.
I would agree with that.
That's what makes the whole thing work good. I mean, if you don't have services, that is just a lack of services. And
Democrat, Republican,
exactly.
Independent, whatever you are, if you need a pothole filled, or if you have a question about your assessment, that really can't play a part if you're doing your job well.
Right.
So.
Exactly. And plus, people when it comes to the individual person, they're far less partisan, especially at the local level, than most people give them credit for. Sadly,
that's what you hope.
That's what you hope. That's what you hope. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Time is 8:18 a.m. Gentlemen, we're going to take that brief break to talk about some of that local stuff that I was mentioning for these great folks. Karina Suarez Darden is here. Good morning to you. And Jose Art is here. Good morning to you. Jose Art is a fantastic friend of ours. He is a body painter, among other things, he's an international body painter. I think I saw the brother painting in Amsterdam once upon a time. Get ready for Back to the Books. This is a backpack and supply giveaway on Sunday, August 6th. And this is being presented by West Aurora School District 129. Games, prizes, food trucks, and a whole lot more. Reserve your free backpack with supplies. There is a link. It's rather long, so I'll make a post about this later on today and share this with you guys. This will be taking place from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and an additional time slot of 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And once again, on August 6th, which is a Sunday, it's going to be at the West Aurora Learning Center, 1870 Galena Boulevard. And to be eligible, students must be registered for the 2023-2024 school year. All right. Now, the next piece of information that I have for you wonderful people is right up here on the screen. Get to know our friends of Aurora Electric. Peter Aguilera, good morning. Licensed 24/7 service and experience. This is your $100 off coupon that you see on the screen right there. Take a screenshot or remember it. The number to call, 630-486-1128. That number again is 630-486-1128. All right. Thank you very much for that information. The time is 8:20 a.m. So who are all of our board members?
Well, I'll try to go by memory, but they're great people. Bill Ketching is a supervisor, and we have Dave Moore and Juanita Wells and Dolores Hicks and the other one, Sam Nunes.
All right.
Who I think was on your show not too long ago, right?
Yes, he
here a couple weeks
was.
ago?
Yeah, Sam Nunes was our most recent guest.
And
yeah,
Cassie is the clerk. She keeps the records for the
Cassie
township.
Alexander. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So when we talk about township government, and we are, as you guys know, we are planning a trivia night with some of our information that we've been gathering from our various guests. Give us a good trivia question, gentlemen. Break us out a good trivia question.
How large is the township?
Ooh.
I kind of like the one you started with about township being back basically from the 13 colonies. I think
That's true. That's
George Washington. That was where he made a lot of, whatever money he had that wasn't more controversial.
Right.
He was
the clean money.
Yeah, right. He was a surveyor, and he basically before the Revolutionary War, he went out into the wilds of Virginia,
Right.
which basically would be, I guess, West Virginia now,
Mm-hmm.
and that was they would get paid by the number of parcels or whatever that they would survey, and he had then the ability, I think, to sell rights to it. There was some fringe benefit of being the surveyor.
Interesting. So the 13 colonies. Okay.
Then the next question would be, how many townships are in Kane County?
How many townships are in Kane County? All right.
Ooh, I know.
How many?
Well, I have it written down.
Well, what's interesting is there's 16. But if you looked at government survey on the map, there's only room for 15. It happens to be that Batavia and Geneva is actually the size of one township, but it's split horizontally so that they have whatever half of 36 is in Geneva and the other half of 36 in Batavia. I went to public school, so 36 divided by 2.
I think
and
that's
why I
18.
became assessor, because it's in the assessment field. People say, well, how do you do this? I've spoken to groups as well. In the appraising and assessment field, and you go ask people if they're accountant or engineer, 2 plus 2 is 4, and they all day long, that's correct.
Right.
But not in the appraisal and assessment field. 2 plus 2 is between 3 and 5, somewhere in there. And that becomes the motivation. If you buy or sell a house, you may want 4, but someone else says, well, I'll give you 5, or the other one says, I'm only going to give you 3. So it's difficult to see the motivation, but you do have a final number. But anyway, there's 16 townships, but only room for 15. How about that?
All right. 16 townships in Kane County, only room for 15.
Well, that's
Batavia.
me being a smart aleck.
It's all good. It's all good, bro. And Batavia and St. Charles,
No, Batavia and
Oh,
Geneva.
Batavia and
are
Geneva.
split.
That's right.
Just north of Aurora Township is Batavia Township. And then the other half of that 6 mile square is Geneva Township. Now, if you go to west, we have Sugar Grove, then you have Big Rock. So really, if you looked at the map of Kane County, there's 1, 2, 3 townships at every level, and it goes up north.
Interesting. All right. Next trivia question. Jason, give us one. You know what? I have to tell you, Davis just we need a good one to top
I filled in a lot
that.
of the background information on the 13 colonies thing. I mean, I had the George Washington thing.
That was good.
I think that, come on, that's got to be good. You knew George Washington, didn't you, Davis?
He's my uncle.
You guys are fun, man. You guys are fun.
I'll try to think of one as we're sitting here.
Okay. All right. Next question. So you mentioned assessor. You assess neighborhoods.
I assess all the property, but we look at a neighborhood,
Right.
a homogeneous type neighborhood.
Right.
It could be Mokerville, it could be Oshler, but you don't look at a value in a home in Oshler by looking at one in Mokerville and vice versa. If that, I'm using extremes.
I understand. Yeah. You just brought up a really interesting point, and if I don't ask this question, my friends who are Aurorans will beat me up after this.
Uh-oh.
How did Mokerville get its name? What is the story and the history? Can you give us the history of Mokerville,
Kind
sir?
of, my dad told me.
All right.
Now
This is official right here.
well, kind of. You know, when you hear stories that go down.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I didn't let you know, but my dad was the assessor for 30 years or whatever since 64. And when I was in high school, I measured for him. But from the story I got, Moker was a developer, and he actually built garages and let people finish them into homes. That's how
Really?
strange it was. Now, not all of them are that way. It's just that he provided things. You got to remember, it's after the war. People had need a place to live.
Right.
So he'd frame up things. You know, maybe it's a house, maybe it's a big garage. People would go in there and make it the way they wanted to live.
Right.
So and then there was something. There was a description of that property, and I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it was Moker was the guy who kind of developed it. If I'd known you wanted that question, I think I have at the office some more history.
Okay. Maybe we'll stop by and see you one day, man. Bring you some coffee and check
We have
it
the
out.
coffee there.
All right. Okay.
It's government coffee.
But it's drinkable?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I actually heard somewhat of the same kind of story because I was told that area was primarily built to house returning soldiers.
Yes.
That was the whole purpose
Exactly.
of what became Mokerville.
Right.
That was the whole thing. And same kind of in the same vein, the lack of sidewalks. There's not that many sidewalks over there and in other places. Is that because folks don't want sidewalks, or the township has deemed that they can't have sidewalks? And maybe that's a highway. I don't. That's a question I've been asking.
I'm going to let
about
Davis take a crack at it
Okay.
first.
Well,
Okay.
if you're in the city of Aurora, let's just because most of it's in Aurora. If I happen to be Mayor Dave Stover appointed me. He was a year behind me in high school. Appointed me on the planning commission. I stayed on about 10 years, and I learned something from them too. But if someone comes to develop, and this is the city of Aurora question,
Right.
developers.
Okay.
And if someone comes to develop a neighborhood, right now they have to put a sidewalk in. I mean, there's sidewalks, as far as I can see. And again, it's not my area, but any of the development that comes in, it's got to have a sidewalk. However, I can give you an example over by Aurora University. They don't have sidewalks.
Right.
And it's a personal story, but my uncle lived over there. And I think it was back in the late 70s or something. The city wanted to put sidewalks in there, which would have meant that the homeowner had to pay half of it, and the city would pay half of it or something like that.
Okay.
And then they would have 10 years to pay their half. There was a kind of deal like that. And it was probably okay, but the homeowners didn't want it, and they beat it. They stopped it. So they just didn't want sidewalks. So sidewalks are now necessary. People are doing it because transportation, people walking, riding bikes, and that kind of thing. So the thing is, it's not because they don't want sidewalks, or it is because they want sidewalks. But in Mokerville, I mean, that would be a major expense. Plus, maybe Jason can speak to that. I don't know how wide the roads are. You know, we have a minimum, usually it's like 66 feet. Most homes.
From property, the width of the right of way would be
66 feet.
Property line on one side of the street to property line on the other side of the street. Typically is 66 feet, but there are some areas that it's less, some areas that are maybe a little bit more, but that's probably a good.
Okay.
And then that some of
66 feet.
Some of it would be taken away from the property owner. Says, well, you don't have 33 feet to the middle of the road, because if they ask Jason, they may have their property built right up to that road. So it's whether or not there is room to put sidewalks, or if they want them.
Got it.
And the expense now to make sure that you're ADA compliant, Americans with Disabilities Act, it is, I don't want to say prohibitively expensive, but it is basically prohibitively expensive to go back in. You know, there are some areas that's actually a distinguishing feature of what's incorporated and what's not.
Right.
When in an unincorporated area, almost exclusively, it's going to not have a sidewalk.
Right.
And that is a question we get quite often. But again, it's mostly at this point, it's the expense to be able to justify. I'm trying to think the last time we looked at putting in a stretch of sidewalk was on, I think it was Eastern. We had grant money from the state and the federal government, and we were working with the city. And I want to say the grant was for $150,000, okay, for the sidewalk project.
Right.
But the actual cost was somewhere, I want to say double that. I mean, it was. You don't
prohibitively
think
expensive.
Yeah, you don't think of sidewalks being that expensive, but I mean the amount of money was staggering. I mean, my resurfacing budget basically in a year out of the levy that we lay out is $300,000.
Right.
So basically, to do that, it would almost be a year and a half's worth of street resurfacing for the sidewalk, and it's not justifiable, I think.
Right.
I would like to have it. It would make sense. We have people calling, hey, I've got young kids. How do we get from our house to the park, or safety from their house to a school? But it's prohibitively expensive, especially at this point since we're so built out.
Yeah, there's people, I've watched the city council meetings and what have you, and, folks are talking about the lack of sidewalks and can we get them and everything like that. And I've been at least knowledgeable enough to know that, it's not an easy thing to do. It's very expensive. And what are the rigors behind it? It's not just something that can poof kind of happen thing. And also Bilter. I think it's Bilter. Bike accessibility and lanes and everything like that going down Bilter, the lack thereof, folks are,
Well, I live in North Aurora, as well as that's where the office is for the highway department. Along Randall Road, it would have been nice, back in my day when I was in high school, we could ride our bike to the high school or to school. But to go along Randall Road, you'd be kind of insane to send your kid on a bike.
Yes.
But that would be, again, we're talking about, just a prohibitive amount of money that any individual local agency, the highway department, the city streets department, whatever, it would not be something where you're just like, on a whim, say, we're going to put a bike path in, or we're going to put a sidewalk in. It requires unfortunately, a lot of planning financially as well as engineering.
Interesting. The time is 8:33 a.m. Good morning to all of you fantastic people. Josue Pais, good morning, fam. Late but here. Good to see you. Eve Willman. Good morning, Eve Willman. Tom Hebert is here. Good morning, Tom Hebert. Mario Rodriguez and Daniel Calderon. Good to see you, great people. Okay. What is the biggest impact that COVID had on your respective departments and duties? And Davis, we'll start with you, brother.
We still had to value the property, and I think the biggest impact possibly was getting out in the field to measure. Now, we didn't have that many people come to the office. As far as going online and seeing your assessment and making a phone call. So I can't say that it really did too much to affect our day-to-day workings.
Okay.
Yeah, the highway department, we have 5 Teamsters, so what we actually did was we broke it down where we had 2 come in a day for a period of time, but we're not super front facing. I mean, we don't have a lot of interaction with the public. So I was just telling somebody the other day, I worked through the whole thing. I was in the office every day. I have an office, so I'm separate from some of the other people, but I mean, we weren't really impacted. I mean, I guess that's a good thing and a bad thing maybe, but we had operations didn't change.
Okay. So things kept going.
Yeah, and frankly, we were able to get access to the shots a little earlier because we were working for the government. So that was certainly a good thing. So
absolutely. So there's some big developments that are taking place. We mentioned the DAC that's coming back there it's going to be the entire parking lot. Is Township going to be affected by that? Is 80 North Broadway going to have to move or be relocated because of what's coming at DAC development?
No, this would be a question for Bill Ketchen. He handled it, but Spring Street came through there, and I guess the city did buy some of the Township right to the building, but they're working it out.
Okay.
And I'm not privy to that, to make sure that the Township building is accessible.
Well, the benefit of the Township essentially is you'll eventually be able to assess that property, and tax revenue will go up a little bit because that's more, instead of a undeveloped or just a parking lot,
right?
You're going to now have an apartment building, right?
With all the bells and whistles, apparently.
That's a good point Jason brings up. People realize that, or don't realize that, the more development that's called you build up the equalized assessed value. And the equalized assessed value is what the taxing bodies levy against. Now, Jason does the levying for the township. She may
the highway department, not the whole.
For the highway department.
It's all right. We got a button for that.
Jason does his levying. Is a different part of the agency. So anyway, that means the more development, especially commercial and industrial development, because if you have a lot of commercial industrial development, you have no children going to school and putting the burden on, like East Aurora, West Aurora, whatever, because you have EAV. And we'll get a call from people that live in Naperville Township, even City of Aurora, Naperville Township, and they have a relative that lives in Aurora. So, well, I got a bigger house, it's worth more, and I pay less taxes, or vice versa, they say. Well, that's because Naperville has those large commercial, industrial, and office complexes that adds to the EAV, and it takes the burden off some of the residential property. So that's good development is important.
Well, if you think about it, a levy is a pot of money that an entity needs to operate. So if it's $100, well, just to be simple, right? Mm-hmm. And the more value that you're able to put that $100 against, spread it out over more parcels or whatever the value of those parcels is, that means any individual is paying less. So the more value that you have throughout the township, and because that pot of money doesn't necessarily change, but it's spread differently if you have more value. So you do want more value in the township, or frankly anywhere.
Absolutely. EAV, equalized assessed value.
Or let me start at the beginning. It's called the tax cycle. Okay. And the tax cycle is that the local assessor starts with January 1. That's what's called the statute date. It's whatever the value of property is on January 1, estimated by the local assessor, is called an assessed value. Now, January 1 doesn't last until we turn our books in. In fact, we're turning them in today, July 14th. But it's still January 1. What is the value of January 1? So after I have a staff that has divided up different neighborhoods, and they do what's called sales ratio studies for the 3 years. It can get complicated, but that can be found and explained on the Kane County Supervisor of Assessments website. So the things I mentioned, it's not hidden. You can find that out. So we give the equalized assessed value, or we're given the assessed value. So I will be passing them up today. Not me, but somebody knows what they're doing in the office.
That's why you're here, right?
So Delia Gomez, the chief deputy, she will be sending them up there today. And what happens is after it's sent up there, that's just the assessed value determined by the local assessor. All right, so it's all up there, and shortly, usually around August, the supervisor assessment does do that 3-year sales ratio, and they determine by the sales and by our new assessment whether everybody is paying 33 1/3%. That's the secret number. If your house is worth $100,000, 300,000, the assessment should be 100,000. That's just easier to understand that way. Well, then people call me and say, I don't like that number you sent. I got this notice, and I said, well, it's fairly assessed in our mind, or it isn't, and we can make a change or request. What happens after he sends, in this case, Mark Armstrong, sends that notice out of this new equalization factor, after they have 30 days to file with the Kane County Board of Review, because maybe I feel that the assessment's fair to the neighbors and fair to them, and now we've got a situation, and they can go to the Board of Review for 30 days. They can file with them, and just to take that step farther, if they don't agree with the Board of Review said, they can go to the Property Tax Appeal Board. So there's a process.
The Property Tax Appeal Board.
Yeah, that's for the state. But the process is after 30 days, the board sets all these hearings up with people. You can do it online now, which was pretty cool. And then they certify. And they certify it to Kane County Clerk. So after the board has decided on the assessment, then it becomes the equalized assessed value. Because remember, we put the assessment up there, they do a study, then they equalize it, and then you have 30 days to appeal it. You'll send a notice if there's been a change in your assessment. So,
do you have any idea what the equalized assessed value of Aurora Township is as of 2023?
No, not yet. But I can tell you, because I got a cheat sheet here for last year. But anyway, it's one of these numbers, but I can't read it.
Oh, well, what I have written down is two. I was just testing you, Davis.
The VA took cataracts out my right eye. I can't see anything anymore.
$2.6 billion, roughly,
right,
of assessed value in
Aurora Township. All right. Question. We've got a couple other really big developments that are in the pipeline. There's another apartment complex coming on the west side of the river that's scheduled to be. I think that's another year or two away or something like that.
Right.
And then, of course, the moving of Hollywood Casino to the Farnsworth Expressway interchange. What benefits do you guys see from both of those developments in the future?
Well, as far as assessment goes, that'll be a major impact in the EAV, which means that it will help out the rest of us with homes.
Right.
And so, yes, that will be a major impact. And I can't address what taxes are paid as far as state in the county that they get from the earnings, but the assessment would really help out the EAV for everyone.
Jason?
In terms of the operations of the highway department, they're both in incorporated areas and moving, and in the case of the casino, moving to an incorporated area, so it doesn't impact the highway department at all.
Okay.
I mean, traffic, I guess, impacts everybody. So, but in terms of our operations, it's minimal.
Okay, understood. All right. Time is 8:43 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. You are watching Mr. Jason Owens and Davis Offutt of the Aurora Township here, educating us about EAV, ADA, 33 1/3%, and the history of Mokerville, among other things. So we're going to go to a commercial. I have something to show you. It's up on your screen right now. This is taking place tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's the It's Fit Time Wellness Concert Series, sponsored by Mind and Body Chiropractic and Leave Me Be Pest Control Incorporated. It's Fit Time in partnership with the African American Health Coalition is hosting this great event. It's going to be at the Wilder Park Promenade. Promenade sounds better.
Promenade sounds better. Yeah,
right? Way better.
Definitely better.
Yeah. Promenade. Yeah. 350 North River Street is the place. 8:30 a.m. to noon. So go on out there, have a good time, and get your workout on. Next piece of news that we have for you guys. Our dear friends of the Neighbor Project are hiring. We are looking for a Vista Community Engagement Coordinator through AmeriCorps. What's AmeriCorps? AmeriCorps is a United States service organization in all 50 states. Great people doing great things, everything from cleaning up after spills to tornadoes to working and doing community surveys here in Aurora with great people like us. As you can see, competitive pay and benefits. The start date is July 31st of this year, and it's a one-year position going into July 30th of next year. Scan the QR code that's on the screen, or you can call 630-906-9400. This survey will cover many issues for folks, including quality of life issues. Are you feeling safe for your neighborhood? What can we do to make it better? All right. Very cool. So next question, guys. We talked a little bit here about the positions that you gentlemen have and being appointed. Excuse me. I want to ask, what's the importance of voting?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you get what you don't vote for.
That's right.
And vice versa. Get what you do vote for.
That's right. I believe participation is key. And Jason?
I mean, well, if you look at the turnout for any election, federal, state, whatever, the highest turnout you'll get is for a national election, a presidential election, essentially. Then you go down to the state level. I mean, it is, frankly, it's pathetic the amount of people that actually vote in local. And as we were saying before, the most impact that you can have with your vote is voting in your local elections.
Right.
Is, if it's school board or if it's the township positions or city positions, whatever, you have a tremendous amount of impact if you go out and vote. And the reverse is true, because people don't come out. That means that highly motivated whatever groups can maybe unfairly swing the direction of any local government, local meaning up to the county level even, right?
Right.
So, but if you turn out, 30% would be a fantastic number, and I don't know in local elections if we ever really get close to that.
No, I think
30% of the eligible voting population, we can't get that many people to show up to vote on some of the most important things, most impactful. Maybe that's the better way of saying it,
right,
if it's important or not. But people don't show, and that's concerning. That's disappointing, frankly. I've got two kids, one that's old enough to vote, and as soon as she was able to vote, we were trying to, and before that, you try to impart like, hey, this is your one chance,
right, per
year, essentially, or every other, whatever it is, to make your voice heard, make your opinions heard, whatever.
What can we do to change it? What can we, as individuals do to change that? Because you're right. It's like a lot of the groups or large bodies, sometimes they can't, even they're not able to raise it. What can we do as individuals? And the folks, anybody listening to this, what can we do to change that?
Well, I give you a kind of a little story, but may not be the answer to your question. But every now and then you'll run across someone who is very adamant and very upset, and you try to work with them on the value of their home, etc. It goes on and on like this. And I get the question, well, who's your boss? Well,
the people.
The people.
Right.
And I say, well, I'm kind of the guy that you can have to work with, so I want to go higher. Well, I'm not being arrogant. I'm just saying, well, in the assessment field in the Aurora Township, I'm the person.
Right.
Well, I don't like what you're doing. Well, then in 4 years, vote me out.
There you go.
That's the only way I can answer your question.
Or
right.
Run. Right.
Yeah.
Not that we want to get Davis out of there. But
no, hold on. Well, Davis. No, you just got here, brother.
Yeah.
He's got another. What'd you say? 23 years. You want to hit 100?
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I have a classmate. That was texted me the other day, and Denny Thomas, and he said, I'm going to run for your position. I said, good, I'll vote for you.
Right.
I mean,
Good
you
luck.
can have it.
Yeah,
Right.
good luck.
Right. But yeah, no, you're serious. Run.
Well, no,
Or
I
vote.
think you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think vote number one, number two, number three, number four. I think, and maybe it's again because I have two younger kids that I think their generation seems to be more motivated about
Right.
getting involved. I mean, I'm 47. Davis is a little older than I am, but that wasn't. It was seen as something to do growing up, but I didn't know much. I mean, frankly, until I moved into this area in early 2000s, I mean, I didn't even know what township was. Though my high school had township in the name. I didn't know what township was. I just thought that was part of the name. Right.
Just
So-
sounded cool. Yeah.
Well, sure, but I mean the idea that we have a better educated electorate about what we do as a township, what other local agencies do to serve the constituencies that we have. I mean, does that start in school? Does that start in the home? I think that's the $2 billion question, right? If our assessed valuation is somewhere north of $2 billion, I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of tax revenue that can be directed if people would become more involved. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to motivate. I could barely motivate my kids to do the dishes. Right.
Right.
So the idea is how do you get people to show up to the polls? I don't know. That's a
question.
long time question.
Well, that's what we do on this show. We do long time
Sure,
questions,
sure.
brother. We try to solve it. Judge Kim DiGiovanni is here. Local elections matter. Amen to that. They totally matter. Absolutely. The time is 8:51 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. The last question is, so 80 North Broadway, and then you are at 220
Butterfield Road
in North
Aurora.
Okay. What's your number?
630-892-0246. And unfortunately right now, if you call, well, not literally right now because I'm not there, but the admin, Celia Valdez, is out. She just had a baby. So shout out to Celia. I'm sure she's listening.
Shout out to Celia. Yep.
She's unfortunately also my only Spanish speaker because I took Spanish 150 years ago and it's not very good. But and what we were talking about before is because of what we do, and if you look at a jurisdictional map in this in the area, there are some lots that are in the city. There are some lot. Then the neighboring lot may be out of it'd be unincorporated. Therefore, in theory, our jurisdiction. Not that we necessarily encourage people to call if you have questions about where you are, but that is a lot of what we do is try to help people distinguish. No, you don't need to talk to us. You need to talk to the city, the villages, whatever.
Right.
So, and if you don't speak English, well, not that I do, but Celia will hopefully be back soon. Please come back soon, Celia.
All right. We need you. The team needs you. All right. Last piece that I had for you guys, the shred information from our friend, State Representative Stephanie Kifwood, is not on my phone, but I can tell you about the constituent resource card. It's free admissions. Excuse me. Oh, my. Speaking of not being able to speak, jeez. Free admission for 4 guests to the Adler Planetarium, the Field Museum, the Art Institute of Chicago, and the Brookfield Zoo, and many more places. I have the flyer. I will share this with you guys. 1677 Montgomery Road is the place if you are interested. The time is 8:53 a.m. How can we help you? What can the people do for Township? How can we help? There you go. Yeah.
Well, I don't look at it that way. I help them.
Yeah.
And I think Jason's the same way.
Absolutely.
We respond to the citizenry and to our constituents, but they keep. I don't even care if they say I'm doing a good job. I have to work for them,
Right.
and we do our work. So I don't see that question being able to be answered. I mean,
All right.
Yeah, we have
It's the
very
wrong way.
specific. We have very specific duties. The 2 offices. Very specific things that we have to do as part of being the departments as they are.
All right.
So I mean,
You can't.
I mean, you can always ask people to have a bit more grace and patience when they're dealing with us. We try to have grace and patience when we deal with residents when they call. But in general, it's understanding that we are people as well. I mean, I know you get people hollering at you. I get hollered at too, which is part of the gig. But I think just understanding. Again, listening to things like this. Not that Davis and I have been 100% educational, but educating yourself more about what local government is, what these departments do, having being better educated in terms of just being a citizen, right? And that helps everybody. That doesn't just help Davis and I in our day-to-day jobs, but just in general, I think that's a good idea.
I will say this: when you were Jason's talking about a lot being in and out, all you have to do is, as an individual, look at your tax bill. It shows you which municipalities are your funding. So if you don't see the city of Aurora, Village of Montgomery, Village of North Aurora, you're pretty much unincorporated. And if you see 131 school district, that's pretty much you're in that school district, or 129. So people look at their tax bill and find out where their money's going. That's what you want to look at. Then you know who the culprits are, and they can give us a call.
All right. Educate yourself, vote, and take a look at your tax bill. Amen to that. All right. The time is 8:55 a.m. The show ends on a positive note, gentlemen. What is the message today for the people of Aurora? It's all on you.
Well, I'm fortunate that I've been around that long to serve as assessor, and it's not the point where I get any glory for it anymore. I really don't care about that anymore. I'm on the downside of my career, but I want to make sure that I give 100% to the function of the assessor's office. The people I've trained are going in that direction also. So I'm pretty proud of our office, and I'm very attainable on the phone. Walk in the office. We're here to help you.
When they let you out of your cage, right?
Yeah,
you're in the back.
They put me in the back there and hide me, but.
Has anybody fed Davis today?
No. I get lonely, so come visit me.
What's that scratching
all of his
sound
staff
back
are now
there?
going, no, don't say that.
Don't say that's my cat.
Oh, my goodness. Saul Olivas, good morning, brother. Jason?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question is, what's the show ends
What's
on
the
a positive note?
The positive? I think, in my 13 years at least, I mean, you look at just in general about the township and getting to what Davis said earlier, kind of reiterating it, that the board that we have now in some form here, we've had a couple of changes, but we're pretty proactive. That's something that the highway department tries to be, we have to stay in our lane pretty close to our boundaries. But, the township here is here to serve the community. We have, I don't want to say activist trustees, but pretty close to it. I mean, they try to be super involved. You just had Sam in here the other day. So we've got some young blood in it. We've got some people that have experience. I mean, that's really the township is trying to find ways to help you out, and we're listening for ways to do that as well. We have the ability to help. We don't have all the answers. Nobody presumes to. Nobody, at least in the township. And we do want to hear from people. What can we do to make your lives easier, better? And that's something I think that at least this board has been committed to for a while. Davis certainly, and in my time at the highway department, the idea is to help people. It's not to impede. So look us up, contact us, however you want to look at it. But I mean, we're here basically for you. We are the most local. We are the most reachable. We've given you our phone numbers. Call us if you have questions. So.
All right. Thank you very much for that, gentlemen. Thank you guys for your time today. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have a blessed and positive weekend. It's 8:58 a.m. Enjoy Friday. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see you back here Monday morning for another great episode. Take care of yourself and each other.